You're watching continuing coverage of the coronavirus on CBT News.
Hi, everyone. Jim Fitzpatrick with CBT News. Thanks so much for joining us today. Today, we're joined by John Fitzpatrick, CEO of Force Marketing. You've seen John before here on CBT News. And John, welcome back to CBT. It's always great having you on. You share such great stats with us about what's happening in the automotive space with regard to marketing and advertising. So welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. So, we spoke to you just last week, but so much has happened in the last week with the coronavirus and such. So talk to us. What do the numbers look like? Are car shoppers still out there shopping for cars, or has it come to a halt?
Well, no, they're there. We just got to dig a little deeper for them. And I appreciate you having us on. We believe that it's our duty to continue to share the data that is coming back to us in real time across 900 stores in almost every market across the country. And here's kind of what we're seeing. Everything that we'll be sharing is week over week as we continue to come on your network every week. We think that that's the way a dealer needs to be looking at it, because as you mentioned, things are changing so frequently. Overall search intensity has decreased by about 16%.
Okay.
So we are certainly seeing the trends downward on automotive shoppers. However, the in-market audience and remarketing to highly engaged site visitors remains a high engagement metric, and we're seeing conversion rates of about 18%, with overall conversion rates increasing 2%. So we came on your network last week, or possibly even the week prior, and shared that Google was suggesting that the remarketing budgets get more attention, because if someone's coming to your site and spending time on your site,
right,
this environment, then they're likely a buyer. And so we want to really remarket them as much as we can. And sure enough, here we are a week later seeing the data suggest exactly the same.
Sure.
And so what kind of message should you remarket with? Well, certainly home delivery. If that's not something that you've got at your dealership, you need to be thinking about how to be able to offer that in this environment, but really in any, as we get closer and closer to digital retailing in our space. The no payments for 90 days or 120 days, as a lot of the OEMs have come out with programs, certainly we need to be piggybacking those opportunities. They are starting to be considered a way of relief, financial relief for folks. And so that's going to be an interesting thing for dealers to sort of message to the community, that they can become financial relief, quick financial relief in their communities, but it needs to be something that they're considering. And in remarketing, you can sort of do that by piggybacking on the OEM's offers. But we're definitely suggesting to our dealers that figuring out a way to message that they are a financial relief opportunity and an option that a consumer should have on the table right now as they kind of figure out how to navigate through this crisis.
And the financial relief that you're speaking of would be to buy the car with no money down, 0% financing, and then have no payments for 90 days, 120. I think Ford is actually at 6 months, because they no payments for 90 days, and then they'll pay the first 3 payments for you. So in that case, it's up to 6 months that somebody's not going to have any car payments, right?
That's exactly right. And if you think about it, how do you message that to the dealer? How does a dealer message that to their community without sounding like they're just trying to sell a car? And,
right.
We sort of brainstormed a good opportunity. If you could find just one or a handful of folks, which I believe at this point in the crisis, every dealer should be able to find somebody that they've sold a car to in the last few weeks, or leased a car to, where it was really a financial decision to not have a payment, rather than a car decision, like a pure car decision play.
Sure.
If you could find that person and get them to cooperate and share that message, then use the testimonial to your community as this individual, for them, this was their option to make a trade in their current vehicle and defer payments on their new vehicle for 120 days. That's always a great opportunity to get a message out. Use the customer to share the testimonial. This is just how we went through our crisis management, and maybe this is how someone else would want to consider crisis management in their household.
Yeah, that way it's not coming directly from the dealer
Sure.
so much. It's really it's a story that's being told. It's a great point. Story being told
and
by one of your customers that said, "Hey, in light of everything that's going on, this package that we picked up on and benefited from the manufacturers really helped out, our family budget, right?
That's exactly right. And look, telling stories and folks being vulnerable, both as dealers, as consumers, that's where you get connection.
Right.
Vulnerability will drive connection. And if
Sure.
we can all use this moment to showcase a little bit more vulnerability, showcase a little bit more heart in everything that we're doing, we just believe that message is going to resonate through this crisis and well beyond.
That's right.
And so that's something that we're big on. Now, back to the data, because I definitely want to share with the viewers, the data that we're seeing. Offline conversions are dropping significantly. So what we mean by that is up until this crisis, the big focal point of all marketing campaigns online have been driving towards in-store visits. It's a metric that Facebook, Google, Bing, and many others have been focusing on because they're starting to showcase the data to support, hey, we can tell you when someone clicked on an ad all the way to an in-store visit.
Right.
And so every digital marketer or most that have been, advancing this dealer to consumer shopping behavior has been focusing towards in-store visits. Mm-hmm. Well, what happens when you can't go in store, right? And this is like the data that we shared with you where mobile searches are decreasing and desktop searches are increasing. Sort of the same thing is being true here. The in-store visits have kind of fallen off the map. 40% decrease in the in-store visit metric. And so we need to be shifting those offline conversions to online conversions where we once were in a very big way, because that's where we're starting to see more engagement across online. So this might seem like a really small thing, but if you don't have a marketer, both in-house or out-house, that that you're using a vendor that can help you in real time shift budgets, you're going to be wasting ad dollars significantly.
Right.
And so this is where we believe if you share the data, if you make sure that it's top of mind with an internet director, GM, dealer principal, whoever's operating that, $40,000 to $100,000 ad budget and looking for ways to sharpen the pencil in that category of their business. Right. This is certainly one of those areas where we can help them showcase through data where they can start.
Sure. We've spoken to a number of marketing and advertising experts, including yourself. And it seems that the consensus out there among all of them that we speak to here at CBT is that the worst thing you can do is shut your advertising off completely. That would be a major mistake. And obviously we've spoken about that with you before. That's still the case, right? Big mistake.
Yeah, look, we're all doing everything we need to run our businesses through crisis management.
Right.
And sort of the reality is that we're all dealing with this. Every single person on the planet has got to figure out their way through it. Now, they need to do, as we all do, we need to be making decisions. But I heard one of your guests suggest, while we have to furlough some of our employees, some at a higher percent than others, don't furlough your customer. And that's really true, right? We absolutely need to pull back on marketing because it is a cost lever that we can pull back on.
Sure.
Pretty easily, pretty quickly.
Right.
But to go down to zero, even if the store is closed, we don't believe is the right move in a long-term thought process of how we get through and ultimately beyond this.
Sure.
We believe that you just got to dig deeper and find partners, find data points that you can get closer to an in-market audience, whatever in-market in this new normal is. Might just be somebody looking to repair a vehicle or replace a current vehicle, or that relief type of financial relief opportunity that they're looking for. We got to dig deeper with data and with our different audience targeting and spend the dollars there so that we get a better ROI.
For sure. I just spoke to a dealer group. Actually, two dealers were on the last interview that we had. One was in California. The other was in Madison, Wisconsin. And they both reported their sales were off by about 20%, 15 to 20%. And their fixed ops were off by about 30%. When I heard those numbers, I was a little bit startled to think that, they're still running pretty high numbers. I mean, to be running at 85 or 90% of your normal sales numbers, to me in this environment is absolutely crazy. But the fact remains that there's a lot of good deals out there, and for people that don't feel personally affected in the sense that they're not ill, their family is not ill from this virus, they are at home, but they still have an income coming in a lot of cases, and their family needs a car. So they see it as an opportunity. I know that might sound taboo to many, but it's a reality, right?
It is, and we're seeing the same thing. I would maybe push it 15 to 30% off in sales, but remember, that's for March, and March is over tomorrow.
Right.
And what our dealers are, and what we've been talking about for the last week with them or greater, is what does April look like?
Yeah.
That's where all of the concern is. It's not so much how is March finishing, it's how April will start and ultimately finish, right? Because the numbers are going to be drastically off. We're going to start reporting 60, 70, 80% decreases in business. And how do you run an operation with that sort of decrease? And that's what we're sort of preparing for. And that's all our conversations with our dealers are. How do you navigate through that sort of storm?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
But I would agree with you on the March. We're seeing some of the same. It's the April that we're concerned about.
Yeah, for sure. But it sounds like the numbers are still there based on the numbers that you just shared. The customers are not customers, but car shoppers are still online. I mean, they haven't turned off, right?
Yeah. And the shopper intensity, right, is, or I shouldn't say shopper intensity. The amount of time being spent online is still considerably up. And so it's figuring out as a marketer and as a brand how to connect with people through their increased time.
Sure.
Is it all spent just digesting news? Is it all spent working from home? Likely not. So that some of that increased time online or watching, streaming media or streaming audio, how can you sort of intercept that with your brand promise in your community, with the limited ad dollars that you have left?
Yep.
And that's really the question that, look, it's tough to figure that Rubik's Cube out. But there's a way to do it. We believe that using the data to determine the best way to allocate your ad dollars is absolutely going to be the smartest route in terms of sort of navigating through this crisis.
Well, John Fitzpatrick of Force Marketing, thank you so much for joining us on CBT News. Hopefully we can have you back to talk about what's transpired this week, and because dealers are still trying to get their hands around this. You've given some great advice to dealers that are listening, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback from your visits in previous weeks. So thanks so much for helping us out here at CBT and helping the car dealers work through this mess.
Thanks for having me. We've implemented sort of a no sales process at Force Marketing. We don't want to be selling in any way. We believe that our value to the community, to the auto community, would be to just deliver data points. Mm-hmm. So we've put together a dealer resource center for your viewers and for everybody. Hopefully you'll share the link on the screen.
Yep, we'll show it on the screen.
We advise anybody that wants to go there, you will not get sold. You will not get remarket it heavily with, here's why you should join Force Marketing. If you choose to, by all means, we would love for you to. Sure. But that's not the goal. The goal is to share the data and the wealth of data that we have working with over 900 stores across the country about what the automotive shopper is doing and how your viewers and dealers can better communicate and use that data to their advantage to get through this crisis. That's what we are here for at the end of the day.
Fantastic. We'll make the website right here on the interview, and then also have the link that will be on our homepage for those dealers and managers that are interested in that. So again, thanks so much for joining us on CBT News.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching coverage of the coronavirus on CBT News. CBT Automotive Network is a part of the JBF Business Media family.